everyone. This is the Doom Tomb Podcast. My name is Chris. I am your host. We are going to be doing a lot of interviews from the bands that will be at FUZZ Fest in Dallas-Fort Worth 2019. You will want to get your tickets to this. And this is the first band that contacted me. Let's hear the interview. This is Stonewolf. We are a metal band from Denton, Texas. That is what I have from the band Stonewolf, based out of Denton, Texas, and I am with Oscar. Oscar, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good, Chris. Thanks for having me on today.
Thank you so much. We've got a lot to discuss. A short period of time, but we're going to get some stuff in. We're going to go over some of your tracks and maybe some discussion about this upcoming FUZZ Fest in Dallas-Fort Worth. How you doing with that?
Oh man, we're absolutely excited. We took a little break between playing shows to work on new material. So it's been about 2 months since our last show. So we're absolutely amped for it.
That's awesome. Now, so I'm calling you right after I did the radio show on craniumradio.com. And some of the people in the chat room, even though it's a stoner doom sludge kind of show, they asked for some different music, some Judas Priest, some Wasp. And that kind of got me thinking, like, what are some of your early influences? I know on the Facebook page you have some Electric Wizard, Sword, Red Fang, Elder, Horus, King Buffalo. Any other influences, like, outside of the genre that we follow?
Yeah, so for me, my biggest influence is definitely going to be Coheed and Cambria.
Really?
Yeah, they're my favorite bands. Like I have all the comics, and I'm absolutely obsessed with them. So they're probably my biggest influence personally. But going back to a kid, like metalcore was really big for me growing up. So I still have kind of like a special place in my heart for that, and even some of the old school emo stuff,
right,
as well. But yeah, I just try to listen to as much as I can. Take what I can from whatever I like, really. I don't try and narrow it into one box or anything like that.
Do you ever go outside the genre? And the reason I'm asking, I was at a show last night and I saw some like black and doom, almost like more in the lines of black metal kind of show. And I was talking to somebody and they were listening to stuff of their genre. I was like, what about going outside of it and listening to something completely different? And I was just going off the top of my head. I was like, maybe some ABBA, maybe Barry Manilow, whatever, just to cleanse your palate, and maybe you could find something within that could re-energize your ideas. Have you ever done anything like that?
Yeah, so for me, that is kind of how I feel about hip hop. Like I'm really into 90s hip hop, the whole like gangster funk type stuff,
sure.
Old Dre, Snoop, Biggie Smalls, things like that. So yeah, I try and keep it open, get as much influences from as many genres and as many musical styles and disciplines as possible. And I love all the stoner shit, but like sometimes you do need to listen to a song that's shorter than 10 minutes long.
Yeah, you need to cleanse the palate a little bit. Now let's go into that hip hop for a second. So give me a track or two that like you can't stop getting out of you. It's always in your head.
Run the Jewels has a song called Legend Has It. That song is an absolute banger. They also have another one called Gold. Those are really good. So I really like those two songs. And I just listen to kind of, instrumental hip hop too, like, chill hop, some more like electronica, experimental type stuff as well. It's kind of
some EDM.
Yeah, exactly.
Outstanding. It's funny. I was talking to somebody at a different show on Friday, and we were talking about inspiration. It seems to be a big thing on people's minds lately. Where can I get inspired, and how can I get inspired? And he was just saying he goes on YouTube and just types in drum tracks because he's a guitarist, and he just noodles around and just comes up with stuff. You know, he's constantly recording. And he says that's his favorite way of getting inspired is just listening to basic drum tracks and trying to noodle over it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way for it. And that's definitely what I did, you know, for a while before, you know, Stone Wolf had really started.
Sure.
Or like, you know, just playing along with like, you know, television, like trying to play along with commercial jingles or, you know, just songs that I like, trying to noodle up or like write new parts over them or things like that. Yeah. It's a great way to get inspired and it's a good writing process too.
Absolutely. Now, and speaking of the process and the release, Garage Days by Stone Wolf. Do you mind if we go over some of the tracks?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's break it down. Let's start out with the first one, Icebreaker. What are we going for there?
So Icebreaker was just kind of like just like a fun little short song. We just kind of had a riff that didn't really fit anywhere else, and we thought it would be kind of cool to do just like something really short, loud, in your face. Basically, just let people know, you know, hey, we're here to kick ass. So yeah. It's really short, sweet, and to the point.
Like just to wet the beak. Like this is the train. You gonna get on it? Let's get on.
Yep, exactly. It's the icebreaker for a reason.
Absolutely. And then we go into Abyss Walker, this thickness, this heaviness of Abyss Walker. What can you tell me about that track?
All right, so Abyss Walker is kind of okay, I guess I need to kind of preface by saying we are a concept band. So we have our own little mythos kind of that all the songs are about different characters. So Abyss Walker is kind of the start of our group of heroes adventure. Basically them just going out into the world on their quests. And then at the end we have a part where it just like breaks down, and that's kind of foreshadowing an event later on in the story. But yeah, that's kind of what we were going for. It is like this very like you know, excited, energetic, sending forth, you know, going out to battle type song. So that's kind of what that song's about.
Okay, you know, and I want to go into Attack of the Witch Cult. Before I do that, your illustration for the release, does this have anything to do with the mythos of?
So it is that the moon itself plays a big part in the mythos. So the crescent moon behind it. It does, and then the wolf itself is more kind of like a logo piece that an artist friend that we have did for us.
Right.
Yeah, but that as far as how that plays into it, just the moon itself, we're definitely for our full release, we have plans for some pretty badass album art that we're excited to be talking about later.
Oh, nice. So you got some other material in the works.
Yeah. So with Garage Days, we had just started playing shows. We didn't even have our bassist yet, and the show offers kept coming in, and they just kept coming in, and people were like, hey, how can we listen to you guys? And we were like, oh shit, we don't have any way for anybody to listen to us. So we just came up with a demo real quick. Our bassist, he'd only been in the band for about 2 months whenever he recorded with us. So it was just kind of done real quickly to, you know, get our names out there. Let people, you know, get a taste of us online, things like that.
I got you, man. So let's go into it. Attack of the Witch Cult. You know, in listening to it, I thought there was. This might sound silly, but it's like it's great headphone listening. If you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, it hits in different channels and such. I really got off on that track. What can you tell me about that?
Oh, okay. So that's awesome. I did most of the writing on that one, so I love to hear that you're a fan of that. So that song is about the title. It's the Attack of the Witch Cult. Essentially, there's this cult of witches who rises up in power. And the first verse is kind of the aftermath of their attack on the great capital city of our main country of the world, and then the second verse is kind of foreshadowing a character that comes up through later. But basically it's about the destruction of, you know, this great and powerful city. All the human armies are being laid to waste. And it's just kind of a very, you know, emotional song about that.
Absolutely. Almost, is this like borderline apocalyptic, or is this?
Yes. So it is. the bulk of the album and the demo, kind of part of that is about the apocalypse. There's an elder demon being raised up from the sea, and there's a wizard who's pulling down the moon to kind of stop the elder demon from escaping the planet and destroying the universe. So yeah, it's very much apocalyptic. There's a lot of that. We get a lot of that doom influence kind of through our lyrics. There's not a lot of hope for the people of our story.
That's all about doom, brother. You nailed it. And what can you tell me about Wasps?
So Wasps is a fun one. Kind of going off the story some more, it's just further on from the aftermath of the attack, from Attack of the Witch Cult. The witches are turning the humans who are, surviving into these insectoid type demons, and those are our wasps.
Right.
And it's essentially about one of the heroes doing battle with the so-called wasps. Musically, we just went for something, kind of just more like basic rock song. There's not too much flashy with it, but it's actually one of like our fans' favorites. We get a lot of people who say that is their favorite song.
Oh, right on. Well, you know what? And we're going to go into the next track, which is probably the longest track on the album, which is Sleepwalker. And whether it's Sleepwalker or F66, I appreciate that you can do a cleaner vocal and then run into a harsher vocal. I appreciate that. What can you tell me about? Thank you. Especially the ending of Sleepwalker. It has that kind of harsher ending. Is there a reason for that, or?
So that song, that whole last verse, that is about the final fight of a different hero. Basically, he returns from his quest. He's failed, and he sees all the wasp demons destroying his forest, and so he's basically going out in a blaze of glory. So the lyrics there are, "I wield my hammer with fury, the demons' legions shall feel my wrath." So that's basically him just charging into battle and, going out swinging pretty much.
Yeah, taking no prisoners, just going for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I love it. And okay, so the name of F66, what are we talking here?
So it's just kind of our cheeky way of doing 666. Since F is the sixth letter of the alphabet.
You dirty dog, you.
Yeah, we just kind of sneaked it in there. But that's the whole, there's no other reasoning besides that.
And then, I don't know, man, it seems to me like F66 was like one of the most, like the harshest track to me.
Oh yeah, it's definitely the heaviest one. It's my favorite one to do. The crowds just go absolutely nuts when we play it. We get mosh pits for that song almost every time.
I was just gonna say that is the song that brings a pit.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, since F66 is the end of this release, is that a foreshadowing of what's to come, or what's coming up with your new material?
So we are working on. I believe we have I think it's 6 or 8 more songs that we're planning on doing to kind of round out the full release. So far, F66 is definitely the most like straight metal song that we have.
Right.
Some of the we're doing 2 new songs that we're going to be doing at FUZZ Fest. We've been kind of teasing them on our social medias. One of those is kind of Issa described it as like a stoner metalcore song. And you don't really hear those 2 genres being blend, but
no, you don't.
That's kind of the best way to describe that song. And then we have another one that is called The Cosmic Choir. That song is it's long, epic. We have a lot of dynamic changes. It doesn't really sound like anything else that we've done, but it's probably our favorite song to perform and play. So we're really looking forward to people getting to hear that.
Absolutely. Now, who does the majority of the writing?
So the writing is going to be split, probably even duties between myself and Issa. And then lately, kind of for some of the newer songs, Micah, our bass player, has been chipping in a little bit, taking some more roles. He's been doing some screams as well.
Right.
Yeah, it's probably 50-50 between Issa and myself.
And Issa is the other guitarist in the band.
Yeah, he's the other guitarist. He's the other vocalist too. We have 3 vocalists now.
Really? So okay, so we got the 2 guitarists and the bassist doing some vocals.
Yep.
What about the drums? Is he going to throw an overhead mic sometime soon?
We have talked to him about it,
yeah.
and he's very resistant about it. So
it's
probably
hard,
not,
man.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is hard.
I never understood it, but I'm always impressed when I see it. I just saw this band. Maybe you've seen them in Texas. Smoky Mirror. Are you familiar?
Can't say that I have. No, I can't say I am.
They do like a psychedelic blues and kind of style. And there was a guy on tour that Mario, I believe, he was playing the drums, but he's actually the guitarist. The drummer couldn't make the tour, so he filled in the drums and just, crushed it with percussion, but also was playing doing vocals at the same time. I'm like, that looks like some hard ass shit right there, son.
It is. I can't even imagine like the breath control alone that you would need, because I fuck around on drums a little bit, but that's so much of a more full body workout than like playing guitar and singing where you can kind of stand. Like, yeah, it's nuts.
It really is. But all around, look, dude, I ain't up there on stage. You guys are. So my hat's off to all of you. I got a few more questions for you if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, here's some things. Sometimes I go over social media, so I like to look around. First question I got to know is, who is Big Daddy Sid?
So Big Daddy Sid is he's just a guy from Denton. We were trying to play a house show at our rehearsal space, but the owner of the house kind of had some issues, so we lost access to that. And so we were kind of like scrambling around for a venue, hitting up our friends in the scene. And one of our buddies, Charles, he goes, "Hey, I know this guy Sid. He's got this house out in Crum." For anyone listening who doesn't know, Crum is like a small town to the west of Denton.
Okay.
So it's kind of rural, right next to the city. So we're like, okay, we'll go out to Crum. And yeah, Sid was the homeowner. He's quite the character.
Yeah, I could see that with whatever is happening on those walls. There are some very strange doodles on those walls.
Yes, there are, for sure.
I'm just curious as to how long it's going to take before somebody repaints that and starts fresh.
I have no idea. Whenever we were there was still some white room on the walls. So maybe once they get all the empty areas filled in, maybe they'll paint over it and try again.
Oh, that's hysterical, dude. Who are you looking forward to seeing at FUZZ Fest? I know for your day, you've got Space Ape and Turbo Wizard before you. Then you have Diesel Beast and Crowbone, Oberon, and Red Witch Johnny ending out that day. Who are you looking forward to on that day or the next day?
Oh man, the lineup is just absolutely stacked. Diesel Beast, they're local from Denton too, so they're our homies. We're really excited to play with them.
Right.
Probably the one I'm most excited to see is Crowbone. I kind of got introduced to them through the FUZZ Fest, and their harmonies, man, they have some insane 3-part harmonies that just blow me away every time I hear it. Just made me an instant fan.
I'm not surprised, man. I reached out to them. They reached back. So I will be interviewing them shortly.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. And a couple of the other guys as well have reached back, have messaged me back. So that's fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. In your social media, I saw that there was, I guess this is Sid's place where there's animals by his house, like some chickens and stuff.
Yeah. So, yep. He had 2 goats and I think 4 chickens. So whenever I say Crum is rural, like I really mean like it's rural. You can have chickens and goats out there. So
right now,
yeah, it was a fun show though.
Did you have any of those eggs?
No, they hadn't hatched any yet.
All right, because
they had any, I guess.
Those eggs, it's so different than like a major place because the yolk is a different color. It's more of almost like an orangey color. It's so bright. It's so beautiful. Anybody that gets a chance to have some organic eggs, go out and do so. So what is he doing with the goats and the chickens? What's up with that?
So the goats, I think they milk, and I think they just get the eggs from the chickens. I just think they hadn't laid any yet, or they were waiting on them to lay some eggs. I'm not totally sure, but he was growing like wheat out there too. So he's living the farm life.
He's got it all going on.
Oh yeah.
So okay, here's the big question, because I used to do this. I haven't done it in a while. I'm thinking of starting. Have you ever heard of bulletproof coffee?
Bulletproof coffee. Yes. That's like
where they put the butter in it or MCT oil. So I was using it. I was doing it for a while, and I was using goat butter. It was like a dessert for me. And if he's got goat milk, I'm wondering if he's doing some goat butter.
Probably wouldn't surprise me from what I know of him.
This guy sounds like a real character, man.
Yeah, he is. He's a good dude, though, for sure.
Right on. Now, also on social, I saw that he did an animal benefit show. What can you tell me about that? What was that for?
So kind of in my spare time, I book shows kind of as a hobby.
Right.
And so we were just doing a house show, and I was like, hey, let's do it for the Denton Animal Shelter. It's called the Denton Animal Shelter Foundation. Right. And they just like supply, food, toys for the dogs and animals of our city. So I just messaged a bunch of bands of, local acts, people who are my friends, and like, hey, you guys want to do this benefit show, raise some money for the animal shelters? And everybody was really excited about it. I had bands donating their merch sales at the end of the night. I think we raised like $250.
That's awesome,
for the shelter.
Dude. That's
awesome. It's probably one of my favorite, definitely my favorite show that I've personally booked, but one of the most fun shows that Stonewall's played. It was just all with our friends for a good cause. Can't ask for much more.
And it's also fulfilling. I know this sounds weird, but like, did they bring any animals by, like, for adoption or anything at that point?
No, it was kind of done low key. So
right.
we didn't even tell the shelter that we were doing it until the next day, whenever we sent money to them.
That's even better, man. It's like, that's really, I gotta say, man, that's really kind of you. That's pretty awesome. And it kind of lights a fire under my ass to like saying like, maybe I should do something about that and do that out. And I'm in Arizona, so maybe there's something that I could do. I don't know, but I really appreciate that you did that. That's pretty damn awesome. And speaking of whether it's that place to play or a different space, so Denton, Texas. Yes. Tell me about it. Where can we play? If somebody's going through Texas and wants to play in Denton, where the hell do they play?
So probably the two easiest places to play would be Killer's Tacos, which is a taco shop that does live music.
Really?
Or J&J's Pizza. They have a basement. It's called the Old Dirty Basement, and they let you do DIY shows down there. So both those venues are kind of like DIY. You just reach out to the venues on Facebook page and try and find a date that they don't have open. And then they basically let you set up the show all yourself, very DIY. Kind of going for more like the bar club scene. You have Andy's on the Square is a great bar. You got Dan Silverleaf that does more like all kinds of music. They have like country, hip hop, classic rock, punk rock, all that stuff. So there are a lot of venues in town. We're actually having a new venue that just opened that had been closed for a while, Rubber Gloves Rehearsal Studios. And they kind of do more like mid to national level bands. So we're excited that we're getting a place for some of those bigger bands, to come through Denton instead of having to always go to Dallas or Fort Worth to see shows.
Speaking of, how far is that from you?
So Dallas is about 45 minutes without traffic, so usually an hour and a half.
That's not too bad. It's not terrible. I mean, I understand it because, believe me, when I'm I'm in Arizona, and I tell people like, oh, I live in Phoenix, and I got to go to Tempe. They're like, oh, dude, that's so far. I'm like, it's fucking 20 minutes. It ain't
Yeah,
bad, dude.
that's not
It's
bad
like,
at all.
it's nothing, man. Yeah. So anyway, so here's the thing. Now this is Sunday night right now, and my arm is kind of stopping the sunburn effect, and it's like kind of peeling a little bit. I de-virginized myself. I got my first tattoo, and we talked off mic. You have a tattoo as well, correct?
Yes, I have one tattoo. I have plans for, my whole body, but currently I only have the one.
I'm in the same space now. Where'd you get it done? Well, not the place, but like where on your body?
Oh, it's on my right forearm, kind of smack dab in the middle of my wrist.
Perfect. Now, I had mine done on the inside of my right arm, and there were some times where it was a little tender, but yeah, I gotta say, some of these pussies should shut the fuck up. It ain't that bad. It's not that bad.
It really isn't that bad. I feel like it's hyped up. There are some areas on the body where it's supposedly more sensitive, but I don't even remember, I got the tattoo when I was 18, so
right,
almost 10 years ago now, but I don't remember being more than just a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's more of an annoyance, and sometimes even the sound of the gun. It's just whatever. So,
Exactly.
what's the next tattoo plan? Do you have one yet?
So I have a couple that I kind of have in mind, but it's just gonna depend on the money. I have this plan for kind of a Indian woman with a wolf's headdress on her. I'm planning on doing that on my right arm next to my current tattoo, kind of getting the sleep going.
Fantastic.
And then I have an ID for a chest piece that I want to get. I want to get the words "Thy kingdom come," which sounds like it's a Christian reference, but it's actually it's a reference to Coheed and Cambria. It's some lyrics that they have in one of their songs.
Okay, that works. That works, man. I like it. Now, here's the thing, and I'm an older man. I understand. I can appreciate all different music. I'm just gonna say it straight up. The voice. How do you deal with the voice for Coheed and Cambria? It seems.
Oh man, it's an acquired taste, that's for sure.
Very much, and you know what? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Whenever I was first getting into them, I was probably 16, 17, and a friend had showed me some of their stuff, and the voice just really turned me off. But then a little while later, they released Welcome Home.
Right.
And that was pretty much it for me after Welcome Home. And then, at the time I was homeschooled, so I just in front of my computer all day listening to music. And whenever I realized that they were a concept band and they had the story, the comics, and all this whole universe built up around them, that's kind of when my obsession began. And now I don't even mind the voice. I love it.
I get it, dude. And I'll be straight up. The first time I ever heard the band Pantera, I'm like, this voice, I don't get it. And It's weird. I've gotten death metal voices or whatever, but the Pantera voice, Phil Anselmo, I wasn't getting it. But then all of a sudden something changed, and I loved it. And I'm with you, brother. Maybe someday I'll get on the Coheed and Cambria side. I don't know, but for right now, I'm going to stay right here. I'll be comfortable right here.
For sure.
True that. So, dude, I thank you so much for hanging out with me on a Sunday night. I appreciate your time. Oscar, it's truly been a pleasure. And on behalf of, it's Isa, Micah, and Mark, correct?
Correct. That's the guys.
On behalf of those brothers, I thank you all so much. I hope you have a great time at FUZZ Fest. If anybody hasn't seen this yet, Dallas-Fort Worth, it's going to be at the end of August. I'll put a link in the show notes. Head out and see them. Don't forget to say hey to Stonewolf and thank them for being a part of the Doom Tomb podcast. Thank you so much. And Oscar, I will be back in just a bit.
All right, boss. Thank you.
Thanks, Oscar. We're going to have a lot of bands from this Fuzz Fest in Dallas-Fort Worth on August 30th and 31st. First, we got to hear a track from Stone Wolf. Let's do Attack of the Witch Cult. If you've been listening for a while, you know the drill. It's doomtombpodcast@gmail.com. That's how to reach us. Reach us on social media. If you are listening on iTunes, please leave a review. A couple stars would be awesome. I am doing a bunch of phone interviews with all of the bands, or as many of the bands as I can get, at FUZZ Fest, Dallas-Fort Worth, 2019. Shake your asses on over there. Until that next time, meantime, and in between time, enjoy yourselves. Keep going to the shows. Buy that band merch. And don't forget to stay heavy.